Welcome, everybody. We are recording this, so if there are club members that can't attend, please be sure to share this with them. I'd like to welcome you to the Utah-Idaho District's second presentation designed to drive positive strengthening results for our clubs. My name is Scott Smith. I serve as the Lieutenant Governor for Division Number 3, as well as the District Vice Governor. Our goal with these presentations is to help provide some resources for the district as well as the individual clubs to develop new members as well as new clubs and identify areas that can enhance positive strengths and development within the district. I'd like to encourage everybody to please send a list of attendees. You can do that in the chat. You can send them either to everyone or preferably to Chip Langerak, who's the district secretary. And then those names will be put into a drawing as we did last month for a membership to the district convention, which will be in Idaho Falls this year, the first weekend in August. At this time, I'd like to congratulate last month's winner, who was Jerry Sheets from the Bonneville Club. I'm now pleased to introduce today's presenter, Mr. Chris Martz, who is the Director of Global Membership and Education at Kiwanis International. In this role, Chris provides direction, support, and assistance in opening new clubs, membership recruitment and retention, as well as training for volunteer team members and education of club and district leaders. Chris has been employed by Kiwanis International for 12 years in a variety of roles, including supporting communications, membership, innovation, and collegiate programming. Chris is a graduate of Ball State University with a bachelor's degree in journalism and secondary education. For the past 24 years, Chris has worked in the nonprofit world, generally in the areas of communication and management. Prior to joining Kiwanis, Chris worked for National Fraternity Headquarters coordinating communications and member services. His professional career started as a high school journalism teacher. Chris is an 18-year Kiwanis member. He is currently a member of the Kiwanis Club of Meridian Hills in Indianapolis. He has served as club president twice and 2 terms as lieutenant governor for the Kiwanis Indy Metro Division. Chris does reside in Noblesville, Indiana, and enjoys running, and this was very impressive. He's completed half marathons and 5 full marathons. Way to go, Chris. Chris, I'm going to turn this over to you, and thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to your presentation. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Scott, and good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be with you. This is one of my favorite presentations to do, and this is the first time this year that I've given this presentation. I have tweaked it a little bit, so you're getting some new information. So I realize that it's lunchtime for you guys. I realize that it's lunchtime for you guys. It's kind of snack time for me, but the popcorn actually represents a little bit more in this presentation. This is a workshop that I basically just throw things at you, just like corn popping, just a lot of ideas popping at you. You're not going to be able to utilize all the ideas, but I want you to think about a lot of the things that I am presenting to you and figure out which ones will work for your club. And we'll talk about that at the end of this presentation. But I've really boiled this down to 5 main pillars that we're going to talk about today. And simple things that you can do to grow your club in the areas of utilizing your service leadership programs, just thinking about your obligation as a Kiwanis member to grow your club. We're going to talk about something I call the 20% challenge. We're going to talk a little bit about retention, and we're going to talk about social media. And these are all things that I believe that if you utilize, you can definitely grow your club's membership. So let's start talking about service leadership programs. Now, I realize that for many districts, for certain states, it is still very difficult to get into the schools and work, one-on-one mentoring, either your SLPs, your key club members, your Builders Club members, K-Kids, etc. Hopefully that changes in the near future, but I really want to give you some ideas for when you can resume to working with your service leadership programs. And one of the things that I want you to really think about is how do you engage parents of service leadership programs members, as well as the faculty and the staff and the administration of the school. There are so many different ways that you can engage them. So just think creatively. Do you make administrators, do you make your Builders Club advisor an honorary member of your Kiwanis Club? Or do you just make them a regular member of the club? And sometimes that becomes a little complicated because you may have a club meeting at noon when the advisor cannot attend. So get creative with due structure and engaging them in all the service projects as well. Think about the service partners that I'm just going to use Key Club as an example. So think about all of the service partners that your Key Club that you sponsor deals with. And maybe your Key Club does a food drive for a local pantry. You could easily go to that pantry and say, did you know that Key Club is a program of Kiwanis International, and our Key Club does amazing things for your food pantry. And we would love you to be part of Key Club for Adults, Kiwanis, and explain it that way. And I think that that is a great way to bridge the two entities for Key Club and for Kiwanis having name recognition together in the community. Also think about sponsoring school events. There may be open houses or things that the school puts on. Think about having an information table there. Volunteer at school events. Maybe that's running the concession stand. Maybe that's just being an usher or some type of monitor. Have shirts made, have buttons made that say, I'm a grown-up Key Club member. People are going to ask about that. What does that mean? And then that sparks some really good conversation to have. Make sure that when you are working with your service leadership programs, that you're organizing recognition nights and you're hosting receptions, maybe for your SLP officer installations, end of the year events, and you include the parents and school staff in that. And at some point, talk about Kiwanis and when you meet and what service projects that you do. One of the things that within our retail department, one of the highest grossing the highest selling items in the Kiwanis store several years ago was the My Kid is a Terrific Kid bumper sticker. Over 200,000 of those bumper stickers went out our door annually. Now, what a great opportunity for you as a Kiwanis club to send a letter to the parents. So many times we just send the bumper sticker home with the kid with no acknowledgement, nothing about the Kiwanis club. This is an opportunity for you to get in front of the parents. First of all, congratulating the students, but then also explaining what you do in the community. And maybe think about sponsoring a grandparents' day or a parents' day. Some day at the school that you might have a captive audience. Again, you may be facilitating ushering or just being a hall monitor type thing, but also you may have a message and definitely a great captive audience. So we're going to move on to thinking about our obligation to grow Kiwanis. And, this is one of the things that it's sort of hard to for everyone to embrace, but everyone has a friend or 2 or 10 who would make great Kiwanis members. And we just need to think about those people. So several years ago, we had a program called The Formula, and I love the tagline from it. It's still very relevant today. Love it, live it, share it. And that is exactly what we need to be doing today. We love Kiwanis. We live it every day, or at least we live it once a week, and we need to share it. So a fun fact, historically, we bring in about 25,000 new members each year to Kiwanis. Now, unfortunately, we lose about that many too. But 25,000 new members are brought in by 13% of our Kiwanis population. So 13% of our members are sponsoring new members. Just think about if we increase that to 15%, added 2 more percent of members sponsoring new Kiwanis members. It can be done. So it's kind of just a very interesting statistic because if we increase that, we can add so many more new members. And then again, my question is, what if we recognize that it's your obligation, every member when they join, they have an obligation to share Kiwanis with someone. The one thing to that is thinking that growing Kiwanis doesn't necessarily mean growing your own club. And I'm a prime example of that. 2 years as lieutenant governor, and I actually invited and brought in a lot of new members to Kiwanis, not one of them to my own club. Am I proud of that? Not necessarily. But what I am saying is that my club did not fit everyone's personality who I brought into Kiwanis. Sometimes they wanted more of a young professionals feel, or they lived in a different area. I just happen to live in a division that has 10 clubs that you can drive from one side of the division to the other in about 30 minutes. So we're very fortunate in that respect. But it's just something to think about, that you don't necessarily have to grow your own club. Work together as a division, work together as a district. You can share Kiwanis across club lines. Think about how many Kiwanians are in your contact list. Just a fun activity. Take your phone sometime and just scroll through your contacts and start making a list of all those people who you think would make a great Kiwanian, that are service-minded people. Look at your Rolodex, your Christmas card list that you send Christmas cards to, all of those things that you have names and contacts with. Just start looking at those names and start thinking about them as potential members. And who would you invite? What if every community event became a marketing event? Everything that you do became a marketing event. Several years ago, my Kiwanis Club puts on one of the largest Easter egg hunts in the Indianapolis area. Several years ago, you would not have known that Easter egg hunt was sponsored by Kiwanis and our club. We changed that. We added flyers onto the goodie bags. We passed out flyers to parents that said, thank you for bringing your child, who we are. And I think that is very important. Every service project, every fundraising event becomes a marketing event for your club. What if Kiwanis is all about service. What if you utilize service to meet potential members? And what I'm talking about is, what if you organized a special service project that was really invitation based? So you organize a special service project, you send invitations out to potential members, you advertise it, you invite anyone to come out and help. And when all your non-members show up, you include them in the activities, but you also have conversations with them. And it doesn't have to be necessarily a large stand up on the stage and talk about Kiwanis, but as you're doing a service project, your members who are there are talking to the potential members, finding out their interests, what drove them here, what they would like to do in a service opportunity. So there are so many things when we start thinking about our obligation to grow Kiwanis. The next thing I want to talk about is what I call the 20% challenge. And it is very simple. If every club grew by 20%, we would have amazing growth overall. You guys started as a district with 903 members on October 1st. 20% is 180 people. Now, that seems like a lot, but if you break it down club by club, and if each club could do 20%, that's not a lot of members. If a club of 15 grew by 20%, that's 3 members. A club of 25, that's 5 members. So all those little increments throughout the district really add up to an amazing growth structure for the district. One of the things that I think you guys are all aware that people don't necessarily join Kiwanis for service. They initially join Kiwanis because of the people. And then they feel the need to do the service. They find their calling. They find their aha moment. And it's really important that they look for people who they want to do service with. So think about that. People join people. One of the things I've really been talking a lot about is if you leverage Kiwanis correctly, you really wouldn't have to market yourself. And I talk a lot about club culture. And club culture is when everyone in the community knows what Kiwanis does. So if you say the word Kiwanis to a complete stranger in the community, they will know exactly what they do. Now, what that does is all of your potential members know exactly what you do. They know how you do it. They know why the community might need them. And when they join, they know immediately where they fit in. Generally, that plays into if you have a great signature service project, something that you are known for in the community. So now we have members, we need to retain them. That's so important. I'm going to give you an interesting thing, and you're going to be like, wow, maybe we shouldn't recruit members in June and July. And that is not what I'm saying. But when you look at our adds and deletes, members who join Kiwanis in June or July are likely not to renew in October. This is why. Generally, schools are out. They have nothing to get involved with service leadership programs. A lot of times, Kiwanis clubs take a little bit of a hiatus in the summertime, unless they're doing some big summer festival or helping out that way in the community. But we found this to be staggering when we started looking at our drops and adds. Most important here is you should be recruiting new members all year round. But when you recruit those members in the off times, you need to engage those members right away. Or you need to find out what their interests are. And maybe their interest is in some spring event. Get them engaged with that committee right away, so that they know that in the next few months, their committee is really going to start working and they're going to be utilizing their talents. But make sure that you are engaging those members who you bring in June or July. And for you, you may think, wow, this also applies in January and February for us. That's our second greatest hit, because you have the post-holiday slump. Like we do so many service projects around Thanksgiving time, around the holidays. We do adoptive families, and then we hit January, and traditionally clubs do not do as much service. So when you bring in a new member in January or February and you don't have a lot of service projects, you need to engage a new member right away. So think about your current members. Does everyone have a favorite project? Do they have a purpose in the club? Do they have a reason for staying engaged in the club? And those are just some questions that you can ask yourself. The greatest question that you might ask yourself is, what would happen if a certain member left your club? What would you lose? And I think that that is really important because I believe everyone in your club brings something very special. And when you're talking about retention, you want to keep all of those talents. And it's so clear from our, when we look at our reasons for people leaving clubs that our members leave because they don't feel engaged in club activities and they just kind of drift away. It's not that they don't like Kiwanis, because our former members have told us that they love the organization. Either things changed in their life or they just didn't feel as engaged. So it's very important to find out why they're not coming to meetings, how to re-engage them. Are there certain service projects that you can make sure that they're engaged in on a weekend or a weeknight? What works best in their schedule? One of the things that I talk about to club secretaries is they know that they have one role. They have several roles, but their main role is keeping the roster up to date. So if I, Chris Martz, come to my club secretary and say, I'm not renewing my membership next year, all the club secretary is thinking about is, I need to update that roster and take Chris Martz off the roster. What that club secretary really needs to be thinking about is, who is Chris Martz's best friend in the club? Who was Chris's sponsor in the club? And go to those people and say, hey, did you know that Chris is thinking about leaving the club? They may not have any clue because Chris may not have talked to them about it. Chris just knew that he needed to tell the club secretary to remove him from the roster. So this is an opportunity to start having those conversations and maybe keep Chris on as a member and figure out a way to utilize Chris's hectic schedule, whatever, for the club's best interest. I want to talk a little bit about social media. We have found really with opening clubs, with boosting club membership, that social media is key in a lot of communities. We do ad buys. And when I say ad buys, we're not talking thousands of dollars. We're talking about $150 to $200. And we can easily get 10 to 15 new members just from that ad buy. But some things that you need to think about, and these don't cost you anything. So that's why I'm giving you these wonderful ideas. If your club doesn't have a Facebook page, it needs to have a Facebook page. If it has not been updated, it needs to be updated. That's probably the worst thing with websites and social media sites, is you get someone in your club who's really excited about developing a website or a social media site, and then maybe they leave the club or something happens and you don't know their password. They've not given administrator rights to a second person, and they just stop posting things. Every member of your club needs to be engaged in that Facebook page, liking everything that is posted. If you have weekly meetings, monthly meetings, take a picture of your speaker, tag that person, become friends with that person on that page, tag that person, because Facebook algorithms are crazy. So if I'm speaking at your Kiwanis Club meeting and you tag me, my friends see that. They see that I've engaged with Kiwanis. Make sure that your service projects, your fundraising events, you create an event from your club's Facebook page, not from an individual member's Facebook page. Make sure that that event is created from the club page, because that starts engagement. And again, Facebook algorithms, we can grow that engagement piece, just within a community, and people start liking and sharing things. Also, when someone likes something on your Facebook page, find out who it is if you don't know them. Thank them for liking a photo. Ask them if they would like to join in the next service project. Just start a conversation with them. Maybe you designate one person in your club who is very into social media to kind of look for all of those people who are engaging with your page and connect with them. Make sure that in your events that you're capturing photos, again, that you're tagging people, that you post often. We don't want things to get too old, that you make your post relevant, make them very inviting. So if you post about, if you're doing a trash cleanup and you post about that, make it inviting by saying our next service project will be this, it will be held this time. So make that very inviting. Make sure that you create a hashtag for your club, and use Kids Need Kiwanis as well. That's really great, because if you start using a special hashtag for your club, if someone sees a post and they click on that hashtag, then they're going to see the maybe 40, 50 other posts that you've put a hashtag on for that for your club. And then integrate other social media outlets. And there's Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn. If you don't know how to do this, and if you sponsor a Circle K or a Key Club, ask one of those members if they would do that for you. They are social media gurus. And so, allow them the opportunity to sort of do a service project in those respects. Just something to think about. So a little bit about social media and some tips for you to really get some engagement going in your community, and maybe outside of the people who you know personally. Some of you may have seen the roster analysis on the Kiwanis website, and this is sort of used for two different things. One, you can kind of look to see what professions your club may be missing. But I love this as a brainstorming sheet. Basically, you look at this list of professions, and you start thinking, who do I know who is a baker, a banker, a barber? And you have probably 80-90% of all of these professions in your communities. And what a great way just to do a different type of a brainstorming with your club. And this is a great group activity as well. So you may want to just take a club meeting and start brainstorming people who you can invite to your Kiwanis club. Maybe not a meeting. Maybe a meeting is not the first priority to invite someone to. Get them to a service project. Let them see what you are all about. And also on the website, if you go to Kiwanis.org, ACE tools, we have 9 ACE tools that you can utilize for all of your club operations. They're all amazing. They all have an intro, which gives you some specific instructions, and then actual sort of workbook pages. But the one I really want to talk about that's relevant today is hosting an open house. And this walks you through exactly how to host an open house. The key here is this starts you about 60 days prior to your open house. And it is key to really planning and executing an amazing open house. So if you utilize this, and if you do all of these steps, I can guarantee that you're probably going to have very good open house. So again, ACE tools, you can look at all 9 of them that are out there, but definitely look at hosting an open house. I am not going to say that I authored this, because I'm going to give full credit to Brad Boyd, who is a fellow area director here at Kiwanis International. But I think that this is something great to think about with new members. There is definitely a difference between joining Kiwanis and belonging to Kiwanis. And we really want people to belong to Kiwanis. You know, joining is what you do, but belonging is really how you feel about the investment that you've made in Kiwanis. You know, if you think about joining as a transaction, and that belonging is actually an experience. Belonging is emotional, and belonging lasts a lot longer, hopefully forever. We really want people to stay in Kiwanis for, you know, as long as possible. So you know, thinking about that is very key. So here's where I come back to the whole popcorn idea. We have just popped a big bowl of popcorn. I've thrown a lot of ideas at you. Maybe you have 15 great ideas that that you've heard today. Here's the thing. You need to choose 3 of those. What 3, and maybe 3 is even too many for you. Maybe it's 1 or 2. What works best for your club right now? And then maybe choose another 1, 2, or 3 that maybe work best for your club in 6 months, or, you know, the next Kiwanis year. So thinking about all of that. So I want you to think about all those ideas. But just like a good infomercial, but wait, there's more. I'm going to showcase to you a brand new, you are the first district to see this presentation, brand new program that we are rolling out this year. And it's called 2 for 2. And it is the most basic, easy to follow recruitment program that you can include in what we want you to do is just include it in your daily operations of your Kiwanis club. But I'm going to walk you through how this program works. And I am going to, see here, I'm going to put the link in the, whoops, I only sent that to John. I need to send that to everyone. I'm going to put the link to the PDF in the chat. So you have it. You can call it up. You can look at it later, print it out, whatever you want to do. But I would like to walk you through the 2 for 2 campaign. So it's very simple. 2 of your members invite 2 prospects every month. So the goal for this is to make recruiting fun and manageable on a club. Like I said, people join people. So each month you identify 2 prospects, and you identify 2 members who are going to be in charge of those 2 prospects. And they're going to have a meeting with that prospect. They're going to talk about Kiwanis. This 12-page guide walks you through everything that you need to do to talk to prospective members, to have a meeting, what you should, how you should handle the appointment, who you should invite. So I'm just going to walk you through this a little bit. So again, identifying, you can identify, let's talk about a year right now. You could identify 24 people right now, but you break it down into months. You reach out to the prospects, you have a meeting with them, you invite them to a future meeting or a service project, which is even better. We talk about corporate partners in this publication, but we talk about them a little differently. Who are those local partnerships that you have with your Kiwanis club? Who are your service project supporters? your in-kind donors. Maybe you have fundraising supporters or donors, speakers at your Kiwanis Club. Those are all potential corporate member prospects. And think about those people on your prospect list. We walk you through basically 9 different types of people who your club needs. You know, it's sort of like the techie, the communicator. Who is the most creative person in your community? Who's that social butterfly who knows everyone in your community? You know, the number cruncher. These are just people that we think that all clubs need, that you can kind of do this brainstorming activity and come up with some additional names for your prospect list. So then we talk about making the appointment work. How to develop your key message when you're actually in the appointment, knowing how to be observant, knowing how to listen, making sure that you have an application with you, taking a notebook so you can jot some things down after your appointment. Following up with the person is so important. And then not giving up on them. You know, making sure that you are constantly keeping them in the loop of, you know, what Kiwanis is doing and how they can become engaged. We also talk about different ways to do appointments with members. And it may be a situation where your 2 members have 2 prospects who they believe either know each other or they have a lot of the same likes and interests. Why not all 4 of you go out and have coffee and talk about Kiwanis? Or you may have an appointment situation where you invite 2 prospects to a service project, and then 2 members take them out to lunch after the service project. So, you know, that's a way to have a meeting. And then in most cases, we're dealing with a lot of busy people. So you may have to go to them. So 2 members may go to a banker and talk to Kiwanis in their office, you know, about the club, how they can become engaged, maybe about a corporate membership, but really discussing your club and what you do in the community. So you can start a list of brainstorming, and what we've then given you is several pages of monthly contact cards. And basically you can you know, write down who your 2 prospects are for that month, who the 2 club members are who are in charge that month of engaging with the prospects and having the appointment, and then keeping a status update. And if you get stuck, we've given you ideas each month to reach out to certain people. So it might be an elementary school teacher and a real estate agent. The great thing is we've not made up these professions per se. These are the top, I think there are like 30, 40 different professions in here. The ones at the bottom of these cards are some of our top professions of Kiwanians already. So we know that, you know, these professions enjoy doing service. So that's why we've given you some ideas to think about. Financial advisors, travel agents, paralegals, physicians, retail store managers. Again, just some ideas each month. So you have several pages of those contact cards. I believe we've done it for 16 months that you can do this. And obviously you can print out more pages. We want it to become you know, an operational thing for each of the clubs. And the great thing is you can start anytime you want. That's why this stuff is undated. If you're excited about this and your club is excited about this and you're like, okay, we're going to start in March, or we're going to start tomorrow. We're going to brainstorm all of our people and we're going to start. That's great. Some clubs need a little bit more planning time, and they may think, you know what, this is going to be a good 2022-23 project for us. You know, so think about that. The great thing is with this is we're talking about 2 prospects each month. we really would love for you to have a 50% success rate. So if you can convert one of those prospects or the equivalent over a year's time, wouldn't that be awesome? If you met with 24 prospects, but out of that 24, you got 12 new members, that is awesome. So 50% is an extremely successful rate. The last page of this booklet is just kind of a little status that you can kind of color in, as you meet with your prospects, how many you're doing. Maybe you want to do different colors for, those that have actually joined. Maybe that's, color them in green. So you can kind of just see your status on the back page of the book. So again, you will see these books for the next at least a year. I have about 20,000 copies downstairs in the basement. They just came in this year. We are this week. We are incorporating them in everything that we do. So you're going to hear about it if you're a lieutenant governor. You're going to hear about them anytime that an area director delivers a membership message. This is just going to become something that we do. And it's like I said, it's manageable. It can be fun. You're working in pairs. You are not doing this alone. So that is really exciting. Since we're talking about popcorn, I just love this quote. And it's really all about celebration, because anytime you have a new member, anytime you have a successful event where just new people are invited to Kiwanis, you have a lot of just guests show up, celebrate those successes. So popcorn is one of the only situations in which you eat the result of an explosion. So if you think about that as, if we celebrate an explosion that happens in our club, this is a good explosion to have new members. So that is Ready, Set, Grow. And I don't know if Scott has been monitoring the chat, or Chip or whatever, but I would be very happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, I've been trying to watch it, Chris. This is Chip here. I don't see any questions in the chat yet, but I'll admit I was watching for attendance. So I'll mention real quick to everybody on the call, will you please drop your name and your club name in the chat for me so I can take attendance and enter you into the drawing. And please don't assume that just because your name is listed on the screen that I know who you are or what you are, because mine says Utah Idaho CKI Administrator and has nothing to do with my name. I made a couple of notes, Chris, just real quick for people. One was, as you're talking about hashtags, use the hashtag of the city. When I do posts for our business and I use hashtag Idaho Falls because I'm maybe trying to attract tourists, it gets tremendous reach. So that's another one I would include as a third maybe hashtag. And then anyone who would like to talk about social media, the knowledge I can provide to helping you navigate Facebook and Instagram is fairly rudimentary, but I've spent a fair amount of time unwinding these false starts we have where clubs set up a page, then don't know whose profile it's attached to, so can't get into it and have to start over. Happy to schedule a call with any of our members of our clubs in our district to go through what I've found and what I think are best practices and what I've done for the district. Now I'll mute myself and let the real questions start.
Chris, I'll ask a question. On these booklets, you said you've got many thousands of them. What's the best way to order some for a club or for a division?
Yeah, so like I said, we're including them in everything that we're doing. So currently those districts that had in-person mid-years, they are getting shipped copies of those. Virtual mid-years are getting, just like you got today, the link to it. I will be happy to ship districts booklets for events. We will have them available for lieutenant governor training so they can take back to their clubs. I've ordered enough that we'll make sure that all the lieutenant governors have enough to travel with. So when they're going to their clubs, they can drop off a copy as well. So really, for the most part, clubs only need one, master copy. And so we want to make sure that we're doing it right. We're also teaching our brand new clubs going forward how to do this because, a lot of times we leave, they have a very successful start. And if we teach them how to continuously meet with prospective members, that is going to help them.
Chris, this is John Jacobson.
Hello.
From the Springville Kiwanis Club. And one of the things that we do is we have a QR code that, and also a QR code for membership application and a QR code for our Facebook page. So when we have activities, we have a poster, a large poster banner that gives information about our club, but people can take a picture of that QR code and it takes them directly to membership, the membership application or Facebook, find out a little bit about us. And we found that has been helpful because that membership form is in links to a database. So we collect the information off a membership rather than having to fill out a paper membership. We have that as well, but that's been helpful. I've been a member of this club since about April, and we've had 9 new members join our club through our activities. And it's been, we have a scone booth in our Art City days. We have a huge food drive where hundreds of people come and bring food that is then distributed to our community. In all of these events, we have the sign and we have our membership applications as well as the banner. And we invite people who are like-minded that would like to participate in these kinds of activities to enrich our youth in Springville to join. And we've been very successful, I think.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's a lot of new members so far this year. I love the QR code on everything. We have a locate a club that we use every once in a while for events, a little business card type thing. We have the QR code. That's one of the QR code was probably one of the best things that came out of the pandemic. It hit the market like 5 years ago, and then everyone was like, oh, this is stupid. And then the pandemic hit, and how do you get your menus now at restaurants? How do you do so much? So the pandemic brought back to life the QR code.
So this is Guy. I just want to note that I did see where you posted the link in chat where we could go to that 2x2 thing, which then I linked on it and I was able to download it on my computer. So that way we could send it out to our clubs right now to use if we want to pursue that. So
yes.
So we don't necessarily have to wait because our lieutenant governors won't be getting together like district convention probably where we'll get copies of that to pass out to our clubs. But so at least it's something they could use now.
Yes, definitely.
Hey, Chris, I'll put you on the spot if you don't mind. Can we get a copy of your slides? Is the first question. And yes. B, that same question again, but I'll give you the context. I'm fully intending to cut that presentation up one bullet point at a time and put it out on our district Facebook page and Instagram page as a bunch of posts. I will credit you with that, but assuming you're okay with that, there's about 30 days worth of posts in that. So
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Bite size. That's what people watch. So
just reminders. I'm struck by this idea that I thought of Scott, and Scott and I never really talked about this, but Scott and I are both in sales professions, and I'm constantly reminding myself that the systematic approach to sales beats the slick salesperson every single day of the week.
mhm.
And the people who are consistent are the ones who make it. And I'm just struck by the fact that I never connected that to membership recruiting, that consistency is the key there. So we may be apprehensive about asking someone to come to a meeting, or we may be, for whatever that roadblock is for us, if we just break this up into pieces and we make it a very simple to execute process for ourselves, we'll add those couple of members at a time that we're looking for.
Mhm. Exactly.
There is a question in there from Robert about how to create a QR code. Do you know, Chris, off the top of your head, a good place to?
I have a guy who creates mine. So I don't. So yeah, we actually have a guy here at Kiwanis International who does all of our QR codes. But I know that you can research it very quickly. You can Google, how to get a QR code. And it probably is very simple. It's probably as simple as, getting a short URL so that your web address that you have on something is not, 150 characters. So.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google search. It looks like there are quite a few options, and I feel like I've done it before, and I can't remember what I used or how I did it. But a number of different places can do it that you may not even be thinking of that you might already use.
Awesome. Anything else?
I'll say if anybody has any questions down the road, just be sure to reach out to Chip or myself or Guy or Mark, and we'll certainly be able to get in touch with Chris, or I would imagine Chris would even let you contact him yourself. But
Yeah, I'm gonna put my email address in the chat.
thought these were all very easy, good ideas, Chris. They're fantastic. Appreciate it very much.
Well, and that's my goal. We really want to help clubs, strengthen themselves. And I think that, again, making it manageable, making it fun, latching on to something that's really going to work for your club, and something that excites the club members is very, very important. And what you do well, if you do, if you sponsor a lot of service leadership programs, then maybe that's where you find your niche in recruitment and finding new members. So utilizing what you do well.
I'd like to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is not Carolita. I'm on my wife's account today, but my computer took about 40 minutes to finally boot up. So I've been listening on my phone for much longer time than you've seen my face today. I'm the vice president of the Caldwell Club, and our president has some very serious health issues. And so I've kind of come in the back door as president. It doesn't look like Bill will be back very soon in our club. And in the midst of all of this, we've managed to bring in 3 new members, which is pretty amazing. It wasn't our own effort. They showed up at the front door, which is a great thing. But thank you for all the good ideas today. And we're trying to get ourselves reorganized. We're about 10 or 12 people. In the past, we've been as many as 40 and 50 and 60 and, 10 years ago. We've kind of, COVID has done not a good thing for us. And so I just wanted to say hello to everybody, and we're going to try to get ourselves up to full speed. It may take a while to do that, but we're going to work on it. And thank you to Dave Ferdinand, who's been a great support, who I've known for a long time, and for a guy who's been at the club a couple of times. Appreciate your help.
Okay, this is Mark, Governor, for those that don't know. How's everybody doing? I want to first thank Chris for doing this presentation today, and then thank all of you that have joined us today, and then just encourage you to think about what you can do and what your clubs can do to strengthen your clubs, bring in new members, to retain your memberships, to build new clubs, more hands for service in your community, and to strengthen our youth and our youth leadership programs. It's a great opportunity that we have. And then I just want to encourage you to join us for our 9th of April. Our next virtual presentation should be on club building, and we'll get that information out as we move forward. But thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
Thanks again, Chris. Appreciate the great presentation and wonderful ideas. Appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. Good luck to everyone.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks all.
Thank you. Bye.